Hey there, and welcome to GamePoints, episode 95, our weekly little get-together. We talk about the past week in gaming news. I am, as always, your host, Stephen Brown. Joining me today is...
David, wondering how we're on 95 damn episodes of this.
I know, it's like we've been doing this for quite a while, and yet no one watches.
Yeah.
If you're watching us here at Twitch TV/GamePoints, we do broadcast live every Monday night at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at Twitch TV/GamePoints, like I already said before. Feel free to join in the chat, participate, ask questions, throw in comments, whatever. We love it when people are interactive with the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, feel free to like or dislike, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, regardless of where you're at down below. We try to get to it when we can. Tonight, we are going to be talking about the death of Glixel, which was an online magazine. They recently went under. We have some Mass Effect Andromeda DLC news, or rather, lack of DLC news. We're going to probably get into some Ubisoft and Vivendi takeover shenaniganery. It seems like we can't go a week without talking about it then again. But first, before we get into all that, David, I want to update everyone on a story we talked about last week, dealing specifically with Alex Maurer and Imago Softworks, the guys that are making Star Mazer DSP, among a couple other things.
The story that never ends. And a little bit of craziness,
It is.
to be honest.
David, why don't you go ahead and give us a recap on what is going on with Alex and Imagos here, and I will give us the update.
So for those that have no idea who Alex Maurer is a musician. She makes games, she makes music for video games. She had a contract with Imago Software to make game music for Star Runner, which she did. However, during the making it, I'm not talking today. During the making of the game, she had issues. She actually had to leave the project. They paid her what was owed her, as far as we know, and she left. And then some amount of time later, she came back. From what we understand, she demanded more money from the company. And then instead of going after the company in a legal fashion, she then decided to go onto YouTube, find famous YouTubers, not so famous YouTubers, average YouTubers, anyone that had anything Star Mazer related online, and put up a DMCA strike using the YouTube's copyright ID claim.
Yeah, content ID claim.
Content ID claim.
She filed a bunch of
DMCA
copyright claims.
Bunch of YouTube videos pulled, stating that she owned the license because she had made the music. Now, the kicker is that in the original contract she signed with Imago Softworks, the music she created for the game, upon completion, per the contract, is property of Imago Software. Period. Done. Once the music's made, and they take it, and they put it on the game, it's their music, for all intents and purposes. So she's making copyright claims against videos that she has no copyright claim about, really. She doesn't own the music, She doesn't own the game, she doesn't own anything. And she basically blackballed a bunch of YouTubers and said, hey, I will pull the strike if you start making hate videos about Imago Software. That was like her ultimatum against these people, which is kind of a dick move. And as things turned out, it looks like maybe there's a bit more to the story and she's not just irrationally vengeful, and there could be some actual legitimate issues involved. But
right. That's what gets us to update parts. First part, earlier in the week, Imago's lawyer, Leonard Finch, essentially put out a statement saying, hey, we're taking her to court. Here's the immediate press release here. The important part is down to the bottom when it says, one, they're asking for crowdfunding support to help fund the lawsuit, because lawsuits aren't cheap if you never noticed. And the quote is as follows. Imagos and Dawn have engaged me to pursue these legal rights as reasonably and appropriately as possible. It is our primary goal to establish Imagos' rights and the community rights to publish Star Mazer and Star Mazer DSP content. Imagos and Dawn are currently experiencing financial difficulty to Alex's behavior, so I'm reaching out to the community for financial support for the lawsuit. They don't want to sue her. In fact, they don't even really have the money to sue her because of all the shit she's pulled, and they're turning to the fans to crowdfund this campaign. This GoFundMe account that they set up for this lawsuit, by the way, reached its goal in less than 24 hours. I believe it was a $15,000 goal, and they hit it like that because people are pissed, and rightfully so. Now, this wasn't necessarily the end of it, though. The threat of a lawsuit did stop Miss Maurer. She then started to threaten Mr. French directly with things like, I'm going to break your windows, I'm going to set you on fire. And in a video that he himself put up, Mr. French put up, which I'll link down in the comments, essentially said he felt fear for his life. He didn't go into exact specifics as to what she would do, but he more or less alluded that she was threatening him and his family and she was going to kill him.
That's a little nuts.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when you're threatening the lawyer. Like, at that point, it just goes beyond, okay, you're already breaking the law, but now it's just bad. It's an extra level of...
It's not anger at this point.
Yeah, it's irrational thinking. And that seems to be what has led to the second update here. In the same video where Mr. French was talking about the threat he was going to get, he then states that while no details were given, it sounds like Alex Maurer is now receiving some kind of institutionalized help. We don't know what that could be. It could be either her family took her and put her in some kind of hospital. It could be that the police came in and she is under forced psychiatric care at the moment. We don't know. But it is alluded in that video, which once again will be in the descriptor down below, that she is receiving some kind of institutional help.
Professional help.
Yeah, rather than just an intervention. It sounds like some kind of...
There's seriously something good, like something snapped.
Yeah.
Because she had a pretty dramatic personality shift, as much as the people that know her directly have confirmed, in the various interviews and things that have come out. It seems like she's just had an actual break of some sort and is now irrationally just raging on people. Which obviously isn't good. So we hope that can get taken care of and she can, get back to normal.
Absolutely. I do want to preface this by saying, like we mentioned last time, stop fucking harassing people. Don't send her or her family death threats. Don't send Imagos death threats. That accomplishes nothing.
The whole reason why this kind of escalated is because Imagos in the first place wanted to keep it kind of on the down low in an attempt to keep it as civil as possible. They didn't want themselves or Alex to be dragged through the mud on this, so they were kind of hoping that it would quiet down on its own. Unfortunately, it didn't, which is why they had to escalate in an actual lawsuit. But again, as much as the internet wants to be mad at Alex Maurer, just stop threatening people with death. Just stop telling people to kill themselves. Stop being assholes on the internet.
Yeah, what she has done...
But seriously, what the fuck?
What she has done is currently being undone. They're working on resetting it. And she is still going to be facing legal consequences. The case against her is not being dropped. The case that Time Warner, because remember, she sued Adult Swim Games directly, which is, I believe, owned by Time Warner. That's still going through. She still has to face the music for the spurious DMCA takedowns she issued across YouTube. So there will still be penalties, and there rightfully should be, for her actions. But don't add on top by going after her or her family personally. Just let the legal system work itself out.
Yep, that's the big thing.
So as far as I'm concerned, the Alex Maurer, I almost forgot last name, that part of the story has been resolved and will be put on hold in such a time that we get results from the trials or settlements or whatever might happen on the legal side of things.
Final thoughts 6 months from now is, I think, the next time we'll actually talk about this.
However, what we must now do is turn our eye upon YouTube itself and its fucking absurd guilty before proven innocent claim system that it has in place that allowed all of this to start to begin with.
Yeah, that whole content ID thing is pretty shit. What's funny is YouTubers were mad about it a really long time ago when companies started pulling down videos like crazy, and then it quieted down a little bit. But now anybody can get videos pulled down like crazy, and that's a little fucking ridiculous. They should probably do something about that.
All it takes...
Fortunately, they don't have cause to do so unless enough people get mad or it starts costing them money.
All it takes to get a copyright claim on a video, a strike on a channel, is just the accusation. You need no evidence to back it up. You need no proof at all. You just fill out a form and hit enter, and then you get a strike against your channel. Remember, 3 of these strikes and YouTube shuts down your channel. It is up to the person who put up the video to defend themselves And this includes from jackasses who file strikes due to bad criticism. They didn't like the fact that someone didn't like this game. They don't like the fact that they might be a woman, or they don't like the fact that he's a white male, or they don't like the fact that this guy's an Xbox fanboy and I'm a Sony fanboy.
That's a little absurd.
Yeah, it's fucked up. The burden of proof is on the accuser in almost any reasonable system. And that YouTube has this inverted. And what happens is that, let's say I put up a video. Someone says, fuck that, I don't like that, I'm going to put a strike against it. My video gets taken down for 14 days. Now, it's scary. 3 strikes, your YouTube channel's pulled. That can ruin fucking careers. But after 14 days, it's up to the person who filed the strike to pursue it to court, in which case the video gets put back up. Cool. It's up to them to pursue. YouTube's going to stay out of it. But that's still 14 days of revenue I'm missing out on. With no recompensation from YouTube, no recourse to go after,
no one to email, nothing to do.
Yeah, no recourse to go after the person who filed the bogus claim. And in this industry, I mean, this is a free show. We don't do anything for profit so far on this. But there are people whose channels, if a game's been out for 2 weeks, no one cares about a review for a game, for example, anymore. No one fucking cares. All that information's out. So that's a wasted video.
A lot of times with the smaller YouTube channels, it's being early content is what gets you hits.
Additionally, from what I was understanding, now I didn't look too deep into this part, so if you want a more detailed analysis, check out Jim Sterling's Jimquisition today on it. If you file this strike, you get that YouTube channel holder's address that they have associated with it, full name, where they live. Oh, yeah.
What the fuck?
So
that doesn't seem right.
Fucking stalkers, because it's a legal thing.
So I can just strike people on YouTube and then find out who they are and where they live?
Yeah, because if you want to sue them, if you want to take them to court. But it doesn't work the other way around. If I want to fight that strike, I have to go through YouTube. Once again, don't quote me on this. Please check out Jim Sterling's channel, and he goes into great detail about the bullshit legal stuff on that end. But from my understanding of it, it's just that fucked up. So,
man,
yeah.
This is hard. I don't like it. I know we've complained about it a couple times, and it just makes me feel dirty.
It does. It's a horrendous system.
The entire process is horrible. There's no moderation to it. It's just absurd. I don't get it.
That's what it is right there. The fact that there is no moderation behind it. It's all fucking automated. It's all a bunch of analytical engines powering and going, oh, this word, and this word. Let's do something about it. Rather than people actually sitting behind a screen looking at going, is this bullshit? Yes, let's not do this. Is this actually legit? Okay, let's let this go through. YouTube needs human moderation behind this bullshit, because this automated crap clearly isn't working and has just opened it to be ripe with abuse. And if anything, that is what this Alex Maurer situation is showing. And with any luck, because she went after Time Warner and Adult Swim themselves, Adult Swim and Time Warner and all that publishing watch might go, hey, YouTube, you fucking allowed this to happen on your watch. What are you going to do about it? And then we might actually see some change to it. So that is why this story is so important in the end. It's bigger than just Alex Maurer versus a bunch of YouTube channels. It's about the entire asinine automated system they have set up. And YouTube needs to be called out on it every single time this happens, because at the end of the day, none of this, the death threats against Imagos, the death threats against Miss Maurer, the people whose channels have been put at risk because of her actions, the drama everywhere surrounding this entire thing lies at YouTube's feet. Yeah, she did a horrible thing, but YouTube could have nipped it in the bud like that and kept it from advancing to where it is now. And they need to be held to account.
All right, man, we gotta move on.
Why don't you go ahead and bring us our next story, David?
This kills my soul. Let's talk about not even better news. So, in a story from Games Industry.biz, Glixel has shut down the San Francisco office. So, Glixel is a video game website that was actually run by the publisher of Rolling Stone magazine.
And it's kind of
the
like
San
their video
Francisco-
game spinoff.
Pretty much, yeah. So they had some pretty dramatic cuts made to the team, and the San Francisco office was actually closed last Thursday with all staff reportedly laid off. So the big thing is when this magazine, internet website, whatever, I don't know what it is. I don't know what you call that. Games journalism stage was first put out. It was just for games, but as a lot of things have to do, it started incorporating other media, and they just didn't have any readers, really. So, yeah, that's another media format dying, because if you're not on YouTube or Twitch and your story can't be summed up in 140 characters or less, chances are people aren't reading it unless you're one of, like the big four?
Yeah, like this just shows that media is just dying on all fronts. This isn't just games media that's getting offed. This is
the big
mainstream
thing is
media.
That media is being absorbed into like media conglomerates. So there's less of 8,000 different games websites, and more people are just kind of looking at like Polygon or IGN or Kotaku or whatever they happen to read, and they don't really look anywhere else.
Yeah, not only that, but you also have sites like Reddit, which just gather all of your information at once, and you could just read the Reddit page rather than browsing every one of these individual sites.
Which, again, will take clicks away from the website, because if you can read a snippet that basically sums up the article in, like I said, just a few characters, you don't have reason to go to the website. You don't have reason to read the full article. You can just jump in and start complaining about it. It really cuts out the middleman.
Online media is a radically shifting beast. It changes weekly, damn near. And print media, which is kind of what Glixer was, they were mainly just stories and printed articles, that shit's dying. And it's dying everywhere. It's not just video games media that's happening to. And a lot of it is because more and more publishers are realizing they can just get their message directly to their fans. Why pay IGN for, or why have IGN run an exclusive for you when you can just cut out that middleman and go right to some big YouTube influencer who doesn't necessarily have the moral constraints they can, or even do what Nintendo does,
or they don't need as much incentive.
Yeah, or do what Nintendo does. Not even worry about that and just release your own YouTube videos.
Release all your own
stuff.
stuff.
Direct. You're seeing this with E3, how more and more publishers are just not going to that and holding their own events. And everyone is just kind of bypassing that middleman because we can reach out to you directly. I mean, it's got to the point where even fucking morons like us can actually have a game-themed show with no backing whatsoever. So imagine what
any
imagine what
asshole
EA
can
can
talk
do.
about who's on the internet. Seriously, any asshole.
Yeah. And as such, these smaller sites, while I love them, I knew some people at Glixel. It sucks that it's getting shut down. But that, I mean, that's just the way it is. Evolve or die, unfortunately. It's why we're on Twitch. Because Twitch is still, for the most part, a untapped, vibrant horizon of content. And, I mean, it doesn't mean we're going to be successful on it, but that is why I'm choosing
remarkably optimistic sounding. Which is the place where we put this in the first place.
Yeah.
Too many places there. And we're way too lazy to change at this point.
Exactly. But yeah, best of luck to the people laid off by Glixel. San Francisco is a hotbed of games journalism, in quotes, because it's really hard. That just sounds pretentious, right? Games journalism. But I'm sure that a lot of you will land on your feet, and if not, you can always like start a Patreon or something like that. Anyways, next story.
You can join GamePoints, America's hottest podcast.
No, fuck
That's
you.
kind
I
of
have
a TV show.
no money to hire people with.
No,
Next
they'll
story.
do it for exposure.
If you're ever good at something, never do it for free. The exposure myth is just that, a myth.
Dude. Like you'd get exposure from here. I'm just saying. It's a double whammy.
Next
All
effect.
right, let's talk about Mass Effect.
According to this article on Kotaku by Jason Schreier, a.k.a. the Killer of Dreams, sources say that Mass Effect Andromeda will not get single-player DLC. On Thursday,
my god, I'm so surprised.
On Thursday, a widely shared Facebook post claimed that BioWare had canceled Mass Effect Andromeda's downloadable content. The good news is that Facebook post was a hoax. The bad news, they guessed correctly. Mass Effect Andromeda will indeed not be receiving any single-player DLC, 3 people familiar with BioWare plans have told me. Keep in mind, this is Jason Schreier said that. That guy knows people in the business and is a master at releasing information companies don't want out.
He knows people everywhere. He's
Yeah.
really good at getting interviews that other people wouldn't get, and he's really good at not naming sources. So,
which is how he gets all this stuff. This will be a drastic departure for the long-running sci-fi series, as all 3 Mass Effect games receive single-player DLC content after launch. BioWare has also shelved plans for a sequel to Mass Effect Andromeda, sources said. I have confirmed the news with 3 sources familiar to the company's plans, all who have spoke anonymously, that's not how I pronounce that word, but I will, so as not to jeopardize their career. Unless BioWare decides to make some sort of drastic pivot, and plans can always change, Mass Effect Andromeda will not be getting single-player DLC. Sucks, but is not surprising, and I think that just shows...
That game did horrible.
Yeah, that EA is eager to have people forget Mass Effect Andromeda. I think that was shown off at the fact that they had their E3 conference and it wasn't even mentioned. Like, yeah, the game was already...
Think about the fact that the division that put this game together is gone.
Yeah, that
the Montreal branch is done.
They have been broken up and sent off to work on other stuff. That team is a skeleton crew, from what I recall. They're not even EA isn't even talking about it anymore.
Bug fixes and online play stuff for Andromeda. That's it. That's all that's left.
This is a game EA wants to bury, and it sounds like it took the entire franchise along with it, which sucks because the ending to Mass Effect Andromeda, spoilers, hints at an extra arc coming toward the end, and they were clearly setting up, if not a sequel, then some DLC to expand on little plot threads that they put in there to sell. And
it would have been cool if the game worked.
EA loves their expansions, and they love their add-ons, and the fact that this is just not going to get a single one shows how they want to just shove this in the corner and pretend it never happened. Now, according to PC Gamer, EA did have a response, and that response is as follows. We have never worked with Sinclair Networks, and they had nothing to do with the development of Mass Effect Andromeda. Beyond that, we don't have any news to share at this time regarding DLC. Now, you might be asking who Sinclair Networks is. Remember at the start of the story when I said that Jason Schreier said there was a widely shared Facebook post that claimed BioWare had canceled Mass Effect?
Yep.
It was from Sinclair Networks. So EA did go out of their way to respond to the no, Sinclair Network story is bullshit. But they didn't respond to Jason Schreier's story. What does that tell you?
That means they don't like people making up stuff if they have no claim to it. But when people call shit out that they actually know, they don't want to talk about it.
Exactly. So
that's really it.
This story, while technically unconfirmed, reeks of being true, does not bode well to the future of Mass Effect at all, and sure as fuck means Andromeda is dead. And if they do make another Mass Effect game, it'll be highly unlikely it'll be set in this universe. It'll probably go back to the Milky Way. Or they will just do a complete and total hard reboot of the franchise and give us something entirely new, rather than the soft reboot that they did here.
Regardless, that wouldn't be coming out for like 7 years at the minimum.
This game will go away like Dragon Age did. Dragon Age 2 kind of... Yeah, Dragon Age 2 kind of screwed the pooch. That franchise went away for years as they worked on Inquisition. That's kind of what you're going to see here, I think. That this game will just go off into that good night, and you might see another Mass Effect game 6 years from now. Maybe.
Well, how about games you might see sooner than that?
Oh?
Let's talk about the fact that in a story from Game Informer, Playdead co-founder actually makes a new company and starting to make a new game. So is it Dino or Dino? I'm going to go with Dino. Because of the Flintstones. Dino Patty, former CEO and co-founder of Playdead, which is the company that made Inside and Limbo, both well-reviewed games. I say well-reviewed because I don't really love either of them. Has started up a new studio with animator Chris Olsen called Jumpship. They're based in Guildford, England. Their first project is a mysterious sci-fi title called Somerville that chronicles the lives of key individuals in the wake of a global catastrophe. They actually have a weird little teaser for it where there's 2 houses sitting in front. I mean, you're looking at it, and there's all kinds of laser fire and stuff going on in the background.
And I'm fucking sold on this webpage, by the way. This webpage sells this entire game.
The webpage looks cool, and I can actually almost guarantee what this game's going to be like. It's going to be a indie darling game that comes out to outrageously high critic reviews because of who's behind it, and I am going to give less than a shit about it. I don't know why. I know these games are amazing according to everybody but me. I just cannot get into a Dino style of game, I guess. It's just not for me.
So if you look at Playdead's two previous entries, Inside and Limbo, they're both really good platformers. They're both artistically very well done. Inside's ending was fucking dumb, but they're fun to play. That said, both of them felt extremely pretentious to me, like The Witness did as well. They both felt like they were trying to say something, and if you didn't get it, then you were just a fucking moron. I'm like, okay, I just want to play a cool-looking game. That said, I love this rural countryside thing here with these giant space obelisks in the background, and clearly some massive battles going on. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of M. Night Shyamalan's Signs, that movie where the story was just about the outskirts from the alien invasion, but they were still suffering some effects from it. That seems to be the kind of vibe this game's going for. That said, as far as platformer goes, I thought the gameplay to both of those games was excellent, and I expect the same from Somerville.
Yeah, just not for me. Everybody else get excited. You don't have to agree with me at all. I'm a crazy person. It's fine.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I will agree with you on the idea that these games seem to be kind of overrated.
Yeah, it's not that they're bad. I just don't get the just overwhelming outpouring of love and support for these games.
Yeah, I can understand that. They are heavily praised for a little payout, in my opinion. But anyways, look for Somerville. More information on Somerville probably by the end of the year. That game probably won't see the light of day until 2019, if I were to venture a guess. Next topic.
Who knows?
This story is going to come via Reuters, and it's going to be dealing more about the Ubisoft families trying to fend off Vivendi's advances to a takeover. Now, I'm not sure why the Reuters page is all black here. I didn't pick the dark option on here, but that's just how it comes up. Let me read to you what it says, though. France's Guillemot family has raised its stakes in their video games maker Ubisoft, according to a stock market filing released on Tuesday as part of their ongoing battle to fend off Vivendi's rival interest in the company. For those of you who don't know, the Guillemot family, they own Ubisoft for the most part. 5 of the 10 seats of the board of directors are members of this family. They are the ones in charge of Ubisoft. They have been fighting the advances of Vivendi to buy them. And this has been going on for about a year or so, probably about a year and a half at this point. And Vivendi
for those who don't know who Vivendi are, they're a bunch of dicks.
Yeah, they keep gobbling up a little piece here and a little piece there, and they're clearly lining up for a hostile takeover, but they constantly keep saying, no, we're not doing that, because they're French. That's my horrible French accent.
That was great.
The article goes on to say, a filing from the AMF stock market regulator said that Ubisoft's founding Guillemot family now held 13.6% of Ubisoft's share capital and 20.02% of the company's voting rights. Vivendi has also been gradually raising its stakes in Ubisoft, with Vivendi currently holding 27% of Ubisoft's share capital and 24.5% of the voting rights. At 30%, French law would mandate that Vivendi pursue a controlling stake in the company. So as it stands right now, Vivendi actually owns more of Ubisoft than the Guillemot family. Now, if you remember, the Guillemot family has been trying to aggressively court investors in Canada to have their backs, as it were, to fend off this hostile takeover. Vivendi still keeps saying, no, that's not what we have planned. We have no interest in controlling Ubisoft. They sure as fuck keep trying to creep up to that 30%. That would, by French law, force them to
keep in mind that while this
is
happening, they're also pitching to try and take over Gameloft, which
I think they already have.
Did they?
I think Vivendi actually gobbled up Gameloft
is actually
already.
owned by one of the Guillemots. At least as far as I know, it's still owned by him. And he's in the exact same issue, but on both fronts, where he's trying to defend both Ubisoft.
Let me see.
Maybe they've taken it over, but as far as I know, Gameloft is still under the helm of Michael Guillemot.
I'm trying to see if I can find that. Kind of hard to do this and talk at the same time.
They might have taken him over already. I just know that was a thing. I haven't paid too much attention to it because of the Gameloft, and it doesn't bother me too much.
Just reading headlines, it sounds like they... Vivendi succeeds in Gameloft takeover from Market Watch. Let me bring up the article here.
All right.
June 7th, 2016, so last year.
Damn.
Gamal
Okay.
family said
So now-
Tuesday it would sell the majority of shares in video game developer to Vivendi. So yeah, Vivendi owns Gameloft, and they've owned them for about a year now.
Okay. So yeah, they're just kind of much. They're basically shooting after everything that the Golemons put together.
So why do we care? Because love or hate Ubisoft, they actually take some fucking risks. I know that the term Ubisoft the game is used disparagingly on games like Assassin's Creed or Watch Dogs or Far Cry, where you have an idea of how these games are played. Like big open world, kind of empty, shit to collect everywhere, radio towers to climb. But Ubisoft also gave us games like Valiant Hearts, these small or Grow Home. I think Ubisoft did that as well. I forgot what the third one I was going to mention is, but they do these smaller, more experimental, more dangerous, for lack of a better term, games, and they're willing to take these risks. I mean, this is the company that's given us fucking Beyond Good and Evil 2. They gave us a sequel to Mirror's Edge, for God's sake. They know these games aren't going to do well. They want them to, but they're willing to take the risks. They're willing to invest the money to see if it pays off. If Vivendi gobbles up Ubisoft, all that goes away.
Yeah. Although, if you remember, at some point Vivendi did own Blizzard.
Yeah.
Back in
And
the
during
day.
those days, I believe we got the Diablo 3 cash auction house.
Sounds about right.
Don't quote me
That
on
also
that.
explains. It also explains GameLoft, because GameLoft is a pretty heavy pay-to-win microtransaction based phone game thing. But I thought they always were. Maybe it's happened for the last year. I don't know. Anyway, watch out, Ubisoft. Run!
Yeah, that is not to say Ubisoft is a perfect company. Their aggressive-ass pre-order campaigns are always fucking bullshit. We see pre-order stores at conventions. Uplay is garbage. But in this particular case, that does not necessarily mean I want them to go away and get gobbled up by Vivendi, because Ubisoft actually does some good stuff. And this just has bad news written all over it, and I think it's unavoidable at this point. David.
Yeah, they took GameLoft. They're gonna take Ubisoft. This is a thing that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
They want it too bad, and they have the money to do it. They will keep chipping away until it happens.
I'm sure we will revisit the story throughout the year, but until then, we do have to move on to the next topic.
All right, well, let's talk about the fact that the CastAR initiative has been shut down.
Crappy.
If you're unaware, in a story via Polygon, CastAR, which is the augmented reality startup co-created by two former Valve employees, has laid off its staff, shut down the internal studio Eat, Seat, Play, and closed its doors, according to the now former employees. So when Valve was getting really into the AR trend and the virtual reality trend, at some point they kind of lost interest in augmented reality, and these two former employees who were still really into it said, hey, can we take this tech, can we take what we've been working on, move on, make our own company, and continue this work? And Valve said, go for it. Let them go, shook their hands, wished them good luck, and they put together this company, and they've been trying to get things off the ground for a while now, but unfortunately, they have run out of luck, and by luck, I mean money. So a core group of employees are staying behind to try and sell the existing technology, but the company, which had plans to launch its self-contained AR glasses later this year, were originally backed by finance group Playground. However, Playground Global declined to invest any more in the company last week. The company also failed to land any Series B funding from other potential investors. So they have no current backing, no future financial prospects. They're out of money. They have no way to get money, and they can't continue to work to actually release the product. So it sucks, but yeah, SDR is shut down.
This is another blow to the VR, AR advancements that games have been making. Between the ZeniMax versus Oculus VR lawsuit bullshit, and between this happening, it is bad times for that branch of technology. A vast difference than how a year to a year and a half ago we were all thinking that this was going to rock the world.
Yeah, well, when they originally got kickstarted for like $1 million or something like that, and they actually ended up making the prototypes and dev kits of their original Kickstart plan, but when they got invested in by Playground, right, they were actually told to kind of reboot and start from scratch again, so they did. And I actually don't think that was a good idea at all, because clearly they have now run out of money without actually managing to release anything. Whereas when they were just kickstarted, they at least had while very early, a development kit, an actual viable thing that you could look at, touch, feel, and use. Now
And
they have ideas.
You can do some cool shit with AR. In fact, I still think the future lies within VR and AR, but I think it lies in some kind of hybrid between the two.
Yeah. And it's going to take someone to make the full jump and not back out at the last second.
And you
someone
have both.
To just go for it.
Yeah, it's going to take like a Google or an Apple, and they're both very interested in AR.
Mm-hmm. But they're testing the waters very slowly. So until
we'll see how that shakes
out. Jump in with both feet, we're kind of out of luck. But that sucks. You hate to hear these stories where these guys just get shut down.
Today seems to be nothing but that almost.
Seriously, this week in news, everything sucks.
It does. Next story. Not necessarily bad, but not really good either. And that is going to be about how after an E3 no-show, Sony is still confirming that Infamous devs are still making a new game via GameSpot right here. So a lot of you might have noticed that Sucker Punch, these are the guys that made Infamous, the Infamous games, Infamous 2, Infamous Last Light, Second Son, etc. They really haven't made a game since First Light back in August 2014. They have been working on something. We don't know if it's a new Infamous game. We don't know if it's a new IP. Those sources tend to hint that that's a new IP. But
which I'm into, because I actually really liked the first two Infamous games.
Yeah, same here. But their absence was very much noticed at E3. And president of Worldwide Studios, Ped Shuei Yoshida, was asked about this by GameStop here. And GameStop says that Shuei Yoshida said that he played the game many times, and it sounds like he was going to give away some details, but kind of remembered he was on camera and cut himself off to save the full reveal later. Now, if you ask me, that sounds like this game is close to being announced, whatever it may be.
With a really short launch window.
Yeah, well, I don't know about really short launch window, but the fact that someone like Shuei Yoshida, who's been around this business a long time, almost seemingly gave away the ghost on this and kind of pulled him back, makes me think that announcements as to what this is are very close. Sounds like a PSX reveal to me.
I was going to say, sounds like they're going to just drop it on PSX, because they did specifically say that they saved a lot of stuff from E3 to be revealed later. And they really want people paying more attention to PSX. They don't really care about the E3 presence too much. At least if you watch this last E3, it really feels like that. So I'm thinking that the PSX this year is going to be far more exciting than the Sony conference was.
That's what I think too. What I think PSX is going to be, I think it's going to be a lot more announcements, but it's all going to be announcements of like smaller stuff, not your big guns. But all stuff that's
coming out within 6 months.
Yeah, that's
as opposed to E3, where hey, this game's coming out sometime next year. This game's coming out sometime next year. This game's coming out eventually. We don't have a release date.
Yes. E3 is still very much an investor showcase. PSX is designed to get people hyped up. In my brain, that's how I see them. Sony could see otherwise. But good to know that this game is still coming, and it sounds like we'll be having a lot more information on it very soon. Sure, that's just me spitballing here, but that's what I read into that story.
I'm with it.
What else we got, David?
Oh, dude, I got a good story for you. It's going to blow your mind. It's not going to blow your mind at all. Remember that time when we were talking about that StarCraft remaster and how that might be a thing and how it sounded like they were going to do that? Maybe it was going to be free. Maybe we don't know stuff about it. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's coming out August 14th.
Yay! $14.99. You can pre-order now if you want.
StarCraft. It's remastered. It's probably going to get picked up by a shit ton of people.
I'm going to buy it.
Played online heavily.
I love the original StarCraft, and I kind of like the idea of having a version that runs
actually runs in 1080p.
Yeah. Actually, I think this is designed to be 4K.
Oh shit! 4K StarCraft actually sounds pretty dope.
Yeah. I'll be picking it up. It does come out August 14th. What else do we have coming up, David? What else is in the news?
News? I mean, I guess there were some Best of E3 awards that were announced by Game Critics.
Yeah.
Which you have like a secret love for because you do stuff for them sometimes.
No, it's not. It's different. Not GameCritics.com. This is a different thing.
Oh, whatever, man.
I am not affiliated with people who did this.
Oh, well, fuck. Well, you're affiliated with people that are called Game Critics.
That's true.
And you're affiliated with a thing called GamePoints. I don't know what I'm supposed to know.
Anyways, let
Anyway.
me save you here.
You got
The
some
Game
winners.
Critic Awards essentially are when a bunch of media outlets get together for what's called Judges Week. This is the week before E3 when all these guys from various outlets get to take a look at hands-on from the games and they vote on what their favorites are and everything like that. And you can see the list here. Why do I fucking care about this list? Because of one specific game. If you scroll down to the bottom here, you will see, here it is. Best Family Game. It's third up from the bottom. Hidden Agenda. This one, Best Family Game. Hidden Agenda is about a homicide detective and a district attorney both tracking down a serial killer known as the Trapper. This one, Best Family Game. Clearly not a family game. This is going to be M-rated. These are made by Supermassive. This game is made by Supermassive Games. These guys that did Until Dawn. Clearly, this category is kind of off its rocker a little bit. What they mean isn't best family as in family-friendly game. What they should really be saying is best party game. Because Hidden Agenda is going to use Sony's PlayLink system. What the PlayLink is, if you've ever played any of the Jackbox games, you're on the right idea here. It's going to use your phone or your tablet as like an extra interface with the game.
You connect to a website, and the game has a server running on the website, and that's how you play the game. You use on-screen prompts on the screen and on your phone to play a game via your smartphone. Actually, a pretty cool idea, and if you've never played Jackbox, that shit's super fun.
Absolutely. I just wanted to mention it because they kind of need to relook at that category because I don't want some poor mom going, oh, it won Best Family Game, because you know they'll have the little logo on the box or the back of the box that says winner of Best Family Game E3 2017, and it's about you tracking down the serial killer called the Trapper. That's not.
Okay. You can take everything Game Critic says with a grain of salt.
This is not Game Critics.
Because of the fact that in 2014,
this is the Game Critics Awards. There is a difference.
Whatever, dude. The fucking GCA, whatever. This fucking thing we're talking about. 3 years ago, they gave multiple awards to No Man's Sky. So, don't believe the hype.
Agreed. Final bit of information I want to share with you guys today. I'm not going to get into the full details of this exact story, but it does detail something I've been kind of wanting someone to do a deep dive on for a while, and that is what the fuck exactly went on with Konami over the past few years. Now, this massive article is from a journalist named Nick Monroe. He's an independent games journal who does occasional stories just for his own edification, and here is his official writing blog right here. And it is a massive, and I do mean massive, I want to say this thing clocks in at over 18,000 words about the fallout of Konami, how they got to where they're at, the collapse of the relationships between Iga and Kojima and multiple of their developers, why they've turned their focus to pachinko machines, and why they seem to just be shitting on the legacy of their games. Definitely worth the read. I am going to post the link to this both in chat and in the description for the video below on YouTube. Let me go ahead and take care of that right now for chat.
If you're interested in Konami or the Kojima story, however you want to look at it, it actually is pretty entertaining.
I mean, yeah, and this article is massive.
If you don't like to read, stay the fuck away from that.
It is long, and there is no TLDR on it.
Nope.
But TLDR,
Konami's been doing an amount of shit for several years.
Yes. I highly recommend you taking a look at it if you have any interest on a deep dive, detailed look into what the fuck just happened. And is still happening over at Konami.
Yeah.
David.
Yo.
That wraps up this week in information and news that I kind of wanted to get out there. A lot of it's dealing with stuff coming out later. A lot of it's stuff dealing with stuff that happened in the past. But what can we do right now before we have more news to talk about next week?
Well, you're going to talk about new video games. I can talk about new video games for you. That's what I'm good at. So we got actually a whole bunch of releases this week, although none of them are the best release of all time.
Yeah, it's all kind of mediocre.
All smaller stuff, including a game on the Wii U, but I'll get to that. So first up this week for 3DS, Kirby's Blowout Blast. It's a brand new Kirby game. You can play it on your 3DS. It's actually an upgraded version of Kirby Planet Robobot from the Kirby 3D Rumble game.
I never got into Kirby. I was a
What's
Nintendo
funny
kid.
is it's actually a thing. If you talk to enough people, everybody knows who Kirby is. A lot of people actually really like Kirby. But of that cross section of people who both know and like Kirby, the amount of them who have actually played a Kirby game is surprisingly small.
Yeah, he was an icon for the sake of being an icon.
Yeah, well,
It was weird.
to be fair, he was a placeholder character in a different game, and they decided they liked him and he looked so friendly they just kept him in the game. And that's kind of the thing, is Kirby's like the most friendly looking character of all time. He's just a little blob with red shoes on.
Hold on. What about this game? I didn't know he was a placeholder for another game. Get into more detail about that.
You didn't know about that?
No.
Okay, so when Kirby was first being created, it wasn't Kirby at all. Literally, I can't remember his name, and I'm a horrible person, but the creator of Kirby was making a different 2D styled platforming adventure game. And while he was building the game and environments and levels and the actual game mechanics, he hadn't decided on his character yet. And so, as a placeholder, he actually used a little orange or pink circle with like kind of an icon of shoes on the bottom. And that's how he developed the whole game. And by the time he got most of the way through it, he actually became so enamored with that little blob that he cleaned up some details. And Kirby was born accidentally from placeholder art.
Yeah, I'd never heard of that story. That's
Yeah.
fucking interesting. I have to do some research into that.
That is a thing that happened. Kirby is kind of an accident, and it shows because he's like this friendly dude with giant eyes and big floppy shoes. Everybody loves the Kirby. But anyway, he's got a new game. It's on 3DS called Blah Blast. You can play it. It's got 3D environments and 25 stages, and you can eat
And blast
multiple
processing.
animals. Yeah, it's a Kirby game. That's actually I'm drunk with the Super Nintendo Classic for a second. I don't get why there's 2 Kirby games on there.
Are there 2 Kirby games on there?
There are 2 Kirby games on the Super Nintendo Classic. But that's just me. Continuing on games that are actually
Shouldn't
out
be one.
now, let's talk about That's You for PS4, which is another Sony PlayLink game, which we'll bring this up because PlayLink was mentioned earlier, which, again, you play it with your smartphone in combination with your phone and the console. This one has you pitting yourself against various family members, asking silly, funny questions, kind of like a more PC version of Never Have I Ever, but controlled by your PlayStation.
Lame.
Like, who's the worst chef, and then everybody votes, and who survives the longest in the wild, and everybody votes. So it's just kind of a dumb party quiz for you and a bunch of friends. Maybe if you're all really drunk, it's exciting, but who knows?
Because nothing says fun like getting drunk with your family.
I mean, you can play with your friends. It's however you want to do it. I don't care. Also coming out this week for PC, The First Time I Died, which is a dark, kind of old school Super Nintendo styled RPG with a twist. Basically, you play as a character and you look like you're playing a regular RPG, but everywhere you go, the walls whisper lies and something macabre is around the corner. So every decision you make has an overall effect on the gameplay. There's about 3 hours of story. There's a casual and a nightmare difficulty. It's got a fully interactable environment. Everything you do has consequence. Tons of weapons, trinkets, side quests, collectibles. It actually looks pretty interesting if you're into a darker styled RPG.
Everything about this game, to me, screams RPG Maker.
It kind of does, yeah.
Yeah.
Like RPG Maker by a 15-year-old goth kid.
Yeah, beware. Those games tend not to be all that good.
It's a thing that's coming out, so I got to talk about it. Also coming out this week, something that I guess I should be excited for, but I'm not. Time Golf Squad on PC. It's an indie RPG action game with golf-inspired gameplay. It's basically a 1980s sci-fi movie with a sort of pixel art style. You play as 4 time-traveling characters, and they golf their way through time.
Now, this game looks interesting, but I get the feeling...
It looks weird as fuck.
Yeah. I get the feeling it's relying on that golf gimmick way too hard. It's like the entire game is built around the gimmick, and once again, those tend not to work out too well, unfortunately.
Well, what's weird is normally I'm a sucker for those over-the-top 80s-styled games, but this one actually, for me, feels more like a game that should be on AdultSwim.com than a game that's released. So,
I agree.
Hey, take a look if you want. I don't give a fuck. You do you. Also coming out this week for PS4, a game that's been out for fucking ever, Speedrunners, multiplayer side-scrolling racing game developed by Double Dutch Games. and published way the fuck long ago as a free browser game. Then it was on Xbox 360, and then it was on everything else besides PlayStation. Now it's on PS4.
It is what it is.
That game came out in like 2013. If you don't know what Speedrunners is, Google it. You run sideways. It's a competitive esport game for some people. Also coming out this week, the biggest title, I think, Revenant Saga, a new Wii U game. Because there's people that need new Wii U games.
No, there's not.
It's a gothic fantasy RPG with stunning 3D battles. It's again an old game that's being released for it's not even a new console. It's the fucking Wii U.
I know that's the most surprising thing about all this.
If you are holding on to your Wii U, desperately looking for something new to play, you have a game this week. Congratulations.
Was it last week that you, or maybe it was someone else I was talking with this, that we were bitching about how the Wii U is for like $200, but you can buy like a PlayStation 4 and an Xbox One for that price?
Yeah, it doesn't make any damn sense. The funniest part for me when I was looking into this game is the fact that it's been on Steam for like 3 months or 4 months, and it has 1 review.
It's not good.
And it says not recommended. Like, no one gives a shit about this game. Anyway, also coming out this week for PS4, Toby the Secret Mine. It's
Toby.
a side-scrolling puzzle platformer. Its gameplay is similar to Limbo, like we were talking about earlier, but its atmosphere is less dark and spooky. The world's more colorful.
Loosely based on Roots.
You control Toby the whole time. He's got forests, caves, blizzard levels. There's puzzles. It's a pretty standard-looking puzzle platformer. But hey, if you're super into puzzle platformers, you got something to look at. Also hitting this week for the PS4 and Vita games. Wow,
some weeb shit.
Axel World versus Sword Art Online, a Bandai Namco game that throws 2 unrelated animes. As far as I don't know well enough to know if they're related, but I don't think they are. But they're thrown together in this game that looks like a crossover between a Dynasty Warriors game and, I mean, really any anime to console game I've ever seen. You basically playing a Dynasty Warriors style game with less enemies, but with more magic and flight mechanics. And the story is somehow an amalgamation of 2 animes.
I like anime. I'll admit it. I watch a lot of anime. I never understood how either Sword Art Online or Excel World were so popular. I don't get it. But then again, I also don't get how come Death Note is so big. I don't get why Naruto was so big or One Piece.
Man, none of those things are Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah. But hey, if you like those games, more power to you.
Yeah, get it. Go you. Buy it on PS Vita. Get some more Vita games. See if we can get Vita alive again. Oh,
no,
this is not going to happen.
Though
finally,
I will say this before we get to the last one: the Vita is like the zombie of consoles.
Dude, it won't
that
die.
shit still keeps getting games released for
it. If you like games from Japan, buy a goddamn Vita, because all the imports go to Vita. Especially like PS3 games that we never got. Vita.
There is this really weird, I don't want to say weird, but there's this very small, hardcore, dedicated fan group the Vita has. And the Vita is awesome, actually. It just wasn't for me.
The Vita would be awesome if they hadn't made a fucking proprietary memory card that costs more than any of the goddamn games on the fucking system, and didn't just use a Memory Stick Pro fucking Duo, which again is a format that Sony fucking created, you stupid assholes. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. It's frustrating.
They killed the fucking Vita.
Sony killed being the Vita Sony is what fucked the Vita. Yeah, exactly. The Vita could have been everything we wanted and more, and instead Sony had a fucking Sony all over it.
Dude, if they had bothered to put an accessible form of expandable storage on the Vita, if they had bothered to release a couple more AAA games, and then, check this out, blow your fucking mind. If they had released a dock that you could put your Vita in so that you could play your games on a fucking television, what?
So here, you say that.
Oh my God, look at that. They just beat Nintendo.
I believe Vita for a while did have an official TV out that you could hook to a TV for, but it wasn't meant to like run at TV resolution, so it looked like ass.
Yeah. And you can use the Vita to play PS4 games remotely with Remote Play. It's just only really good if you're on the network with the PlayStation.
Mhm.
It didn't really, even though they bought all those fucking streaming services, and they bought out, who was it, Kai or whatever the fuck they bought? Gaikai. They just didn't really incorporate it well enough. But imagine if they had done that. Imagine a world where Sony actually put more heart into this, and they had some software in the PS4 that would allow it to run games for you while you were streaming them in your fucking hotel somewhere on Wi-Fi on your Vita.
The Vita was 4 bad ideas away from becoming the Switch.
Seriously.
It was hampered by Sony themselves. But that thing could have been the next Switch.
Could have been my first Switch.
We have one more game to talk about.
One last game that I'm going to let you get into. I just need to pitch it because it's the most ridiculous fucking thing that's ever happened for me. You're probably excited.
Absolutely.
I am less so. However, after 20 fucking years, Grimoire Heralds of the Winged Exemplar is now available for PC.
Yep.
Probably the longest development cycle of any game we can talk about.
So
that's actually been released.
Grimoire here, I have the video up running right now, is in the style of those old SSI gold box games that you found on PC. So think of like D&D Eye of the Beholder or Buck Rogers Countdown to Doomsday. If you want a more modern example, think Legend of Grimrock. And it is a straight-up 2D playing dungeon crawler that looks and feels like one of those old PC RPGs that were like cranked out by assembly line style and just shit onto the PC. But goddamn did I love them, and I'm so excited to actually play this game. These were one of those games that was all done up on a... they tried to simulate a 3D world, but it was all 2D planes, and you had to bust out the grid paper and actually mark off where you were going on it. Once again, if you want a modern example, play the excellent and highly recommended Legend of Grimrock and Legend of Grimrock 2, and you'll get an idea of what this game is kind of going for. I am too excited for this game to no end. However, apparently this game might have a suggested price of $39.99, and if that's the fucking case, it can kiss my ass because this game is not worth $40.
No, dude, not for something that is this old. I get that you put a lot of time into it. You've been working on this damn game for fucking 20 years. If this game had come out 18 years ago, maybe you had a chance. Now, come on, son.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 600 hours of playtime, which is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it sounds like they're trying to go
music,
Morrowind.
So it's going to sound like fucking shit. I'm sorry. Some dude released a game from 1984. I know you're excited, but it's 2017, dog.
I just... I can't explain why I'm so excited for this game, but I am not spending
Maybe it's the most fun game of all time. I don't know.
I'd buy this for $10.
I'm never going to see this game again.
Yeah, I'd buy this for $10. Not only that, but it's $40 right after the Steam sale. When you had like AAA shit selling for less than that.
Yeah, that's no good. Although maybe it'll be really cheap. Maybe you can start a playthrough. You can throw it up on Twitch, and 6 people will watch you play this game. All people your age or older.
Fuck you. With that has been GamePoints episode 95. We do stream every Monday night at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here at Twitch TV/GamePoints. If you happen to catch us live, feel free to join in the chat, comment, questions, and all that good stuff. We'll respond when we can. Feel free to give us a like and a follow and all that. And also do that if you can't watch us live at YouTube. Just type in GamePoints, one word, and we pop right up. Like, comment, subscribe, dislike, tell us you hate us or whatever you want down there. We do try to respond to you as long as it's not like just criticism for the sake of being a dick. If you want to email the show, you can
especially that one.
If you want to email the show, you can do so at GamePointsPC@gmail.com. If you want to follow the show, you can do so on Twitter at GamePointsPC. If you want to follow us individually, I am your host, Stephen Brown, at CapThisPig21. That over there is David Smith at PalShife_Satori. Once again, this has been GamePoints episode 95. And until next week, we'll see you later.
Bye.